Set, and I'm going to be looking at a game from Capelle la Grande, 2011 in France. And so the game is Yuriy Kryvoruchko with the white pieces versus David Berczes. And so opening with e4, c6, and knight f3. Now this is the two knights attack against the Carol Khan. So bishop g4 is kind of the old line. Black wants to get the bishop outside of the pawn chain, and so he can play e6 with a very solid center. Bishop d3, just central developing moves, very natural. And in this position, e5 is also an option, although the pawn on e5 would be pretty weak, so I think castles is more common. And now a couple of exchanges, and the knight's coming to f6 to force back the bishop on e4. So c3, just a couple of pretty standard moves. h3 is nice to make a little luft for the king. And now rook e1. So again, pretty standard stuff so far, but now c5. And this is where Kryvoruchko really, rook e5 was a pretty good move. So he's introducing some threats. First of all, black has to, let's say, cope with the idea that bishop takes f6 could pick up this bishop on h5. And the rook is just active. Let's say white, black went in with bishop d6, even simply rook b5. And the rook is definitely very active along the fifth rank and creating some threats against that bishop on h5. So instead, Berczes tried bishop takes f3, so kind of a natural move. And now black should be okay. I mean, white's got a very active position. All of his pieces are very well coordinated and pointing at the black king. But, you know, black's king, he hasn't moved any of his pawns, so no weaknesses to latch onto for white. But here, Kryvoruchko just, he plays very forcefully and very aggressively. So even in these kind of seemingly equal and kind of calm positions, you know, you'd be surprised sometimes how fast an attack can get whipped up. So a couple of exchanges. Now the opposite color bishops will definitely favor the attacking side with white. And now g6, this is just going to be terrible for black. I don't think he's not 100% lost here, but very, very close. Maybe he is, actually. I mean, check. Doesn't quite work with f6. Just the king position here. I mean, white can really just move the rook, transfer it to the fifth rank, and that'll probably be it. So instead of g6, Berczes tried h6, the only other option really to defend. And now Kryvoruchko just sacks an exchange. So he literally just sacks the rook, no problem, just to weaken black's king. And he's got an extra pawn, so I mean he's definitely got compensation. He picks up another pawn, so now he's got two pawns in the exchange, but still, I mean, seems kind of like a speculative sack. Now rook e1, a nice move. If rook takes d3, he's got queen d3 check, or queen g6 check to pick up the rook. So instead, black plays queen g7, and now queen e3. So the dust is settled. Maybe e6 is not the best move, although what else can you do? I mean, rook e8 is going to run into bishop c4, and white's going to pick up another pawn. So he's almost got to play e5, and now he's got a huge weakness along his light squares. So white starts, you know, placing his queen, controlling the f5 square, and also hitting b7. And so now bishop f5, and very instructive how to play, you know, sacrificing exchange and just a very direct and natural attack. So black, he's got to avoid the threat of rook g4, so king f8 and rook g4 anyway. And now rook h4, and black is in some serious trouble here because the white rook is going to infiltrate to the 7th or 8th rank, and black's king is just stuck. I mean, he can't, you know, this material balance would be hopelessly lost for black. So his king is just stuck, you know, stuck with his queen there. Queen takes a2, the wrong time to go pawn grabbing. Maybe I was kind of looking at rook b6, and it's, well, I mean, rook b6 is just hopeless because, you know, the problem is black's queen, again, it's just in the way. He's just going to lose his queen. however you look at it. So it wasn't just pawn grabbing. He was trying to get his queen out of the way. But after a couple of checks, queen b7, a nice check, because if king takes h8, queen to h7 is going to be mate. And now rook h7, and here Berczes had enough. He resigned because he's just going to be down a piece with no compensation. And he's almost getting mated. You know, he's definitely going to get mated in a not too distant future. Even just takes, though. I mean, he's just going to be up a piece and a pawn or two. So after rook h7 check, Berczes resigned. He had enough. So a really nice game. I mean, just Kryvoruchko not scared to, you know, he sees the initiative in the center, and then he converted that into a lasting positional advantage due to the fact black had no pawn cover around his king. So sacking in exchange without fear. Very, very nice game. Very, very smooth and fluid. So this is Will Stewart from OnlineChessLessons.net, and thanks for tuning in.